And we are back with the local elections on the horizon. New Yorkers need to be aware of crucial deadlines to affect the November ballot. The forthcoming mayoral elections, city council races, and other essential positions will play a vital role in shaping the city's future. Residents need to ensure their party registration is updated by February 14th to vote in the June primaries. Join me now. We've got the chair of the Speakers Bureau at the League of Women Voters of the City of New York, Diane Burrows. And Diane, good to have you.
Good to be here. Thank you so much.
Let me just give you the sentiment of some people, right? Some people are just worn out after November. I mean, this is real. Like November, we just had the inauguration. It's like, oh my God. But we got to be ready.
Got to be ready.
February's coming around the corner, and it's really important.
Yes. So February 14th, as you said, the deadline for anybody who is already registered to vote to update their party affiliation. In other words, in New York, we are a closed primary state. So the only way you can use your voice and vote in the primary is to be a party member. And by that I mean a political party that holds a primary, so the two major political parties. So for people who are not a party member, they can't vote in the primary, which means they don't get to use their voice until November. But let's face it, in New York, by November, that's kind of too late already because a lot of the decision making happens in the primary.
What happens if you're an independent, if you will?
You don't get to vote in the primary. So if you're an independent, or as they say in the Board of Elections, a blank, because you're not in a party, think about it, because think about which political party represents your views, your values, your issues the closest, and then select that party, change your designation by redoing your voter registration form, and be able to vote in the primary. Because if you don't, then, as I say, your voice is not heard. So even for people who say, I don't really like political parties, I don't feel strongly about a political party, pick one that aligns with you the closest you can and vote.
No matter what political party a person is on, there's a lot at stake. When we talk about what's going on right now and we look at what's happening in America, a lot of people didn't recognize the amount of things that are at stake by virtue of a presidential election. So let's localize it. What things are at stake right here locally that people need to be paying attention to?
Right. So in this local election, we are going to be electing our mayor, comptroller. All 51 city council positions are up. So this is crucial. And when you think about voting local impacts your day-to-day life. It impacts, how snow removal happens. It impacts schools and housing to a certain degree. Certainly things like living, how we live our lives, where our grocery store is. All of these things are impacted locally. So our voices really matter.
And when we talk about the voices matter, obviously getting registered is the most important thing, making sure you take care of that February 14th deadline. But there's a lot of voter apathy out there, right? And so what are you doing in addressing that? Because we know that this isn't just something that is citywide. This is something that's really nationwide. But how do you address the voter apathy that's out there right now?
And you're right, Daren. It's so important. So really what we have to do is ensure people, number one, that their vote does matter. And the way we do that is we go into the community, we educate voters about how they think about using their voice. So we talk about not just voter registration, we talk about creating a voting action plan. So it's not just registration. Registration is step one.
Right.
People need to know where to vote, when to vote, how to access their sample ballots so they know. They need to know what's going to happen when they go to their poll site or if they want to vote by mail. And then they need to make their voting decisions. And that's the personal part about, as I mentioned earlier, about what are the issues that I care about and who's going to align with that amongst the candidates who are running. And then think about, how do I get that information? Nonpartisan sites like the League of Women Voters. We run a site called Vote 411 nationally that gives people the opportunity to look at what all the candidates are saying about the issues. Make their decision that way. Think about using other sites that might be a little more partisan, like a candidate's website. Go to a town hall meeting or listen to a debate to get both sides of the issue. Be careful of misinformation and disinformation. There's a lot of false information out there, we know that. How do we help people understand what's real and what's not? So by teaching people how to educate themselves about their voting rights, about what's at stake, really makes people understand that they matter and their vote matters.
How do you counter that argument? Because you got people out there saying, listen, you know what, there's millions of New Yorkers out there. If I don't vote, it's really not going to make a difference. My vote doesn't matter. How do you counter that argument?
So and that's a tough one. It's
Right.
a tough one because people, it's not just apathy, it's people feel like they don't matter, that they don't count. And so what we have to explain to folks is that your voice elevates your community. If you think about it, if I don't vote and the members of my community don't vote, but members of another community do vote, who's that elected official going to listen to? They listen to the people who vote. They listen to the people who use their voices because they want to get reelected. So if I vote, then I'm saying to my elected official, I care enough to pay attention to what you're doing as you represent me.
Important. I got to get here. March coming up. League of Women Voters.
Yes.
March Tribute Month. I know
Yes.
people don't want to talk about like, oh, March is Women's Month, February. I'm saying it. February is Black History Month. March is Women's History Month. You got something going on.
Yes, we do. On March 25th, we are having our tribute event, and we are so excited because we have Shana Taub, the creator, writer, and star Tony winner of the musical Suffs. She's going to be our special guest, and she's going to be in conversation with us at that event. We're also going to be honoring the civic engagement of several Bronx organizations, including Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, for their work that they've been doing, and also Amalgamated Bank. Citizens Travelers are also one of our big sponsors, Travelers Insurance. And we really want folks to be able to come and celebrate with us on March 25th. And there's more information on our website, lwvnyc.org.
Diane, we got to bring you back. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank
Great
you
work.
so much.
Great work that you're doing.
Thank you.
All right, as Diane mentioned, you can get more information. Go ahead and visit the website, lwvnyc.org. And guess what? You can get all the information about what's happening in March, and then also making sure that you're squared away to get out to vote, because voting is a right, a privilege, and a lot of people died so that we could have that opportunity. All right, don't go anywhere. We got more open coming up. We'll be right back right after this.